In this short recording, I'll be speaking about trolls, shills, and hate groups. I want to keep this as short as possible, less than maybe 5 or 6 minutes. What is a troll? If you're on the internet and you have your blog, you have your own website, or you just use social media, you may have encountered those individuals that leave nasty comments. I'm not talking about just weird comments, nasty, hateful comments. Or they begin to praise you in the comment section or on social media, but suddenly they turn and begin to hate against you. And then you begin to ask, what happened? I'll explain what happened. There are people that just can't move on. Why can't they move on? Because they don't want to let go. They don't want to let go of their way of thinking. They are attached to a certain viewpoint, a certain framework of perceiving reality, and they don't check whether that framework is factual or whether that framework is true. During their upbringing, they developed a certain personality or they developed a certain outlook, and that outlook has worked out for them in some circumstances, so now they're holding on to it. But here's the thing. They're the ones in bondage. They're the ones putting boundaries around them. Though a boundary is an imaginary limit, they are limiting themselves and let's say in their imagination they're limiting themselves and they're believing their own limitations. And anyone that does not honor those limitations, they feel threatened. But the pain and the tension they sense when those imaginary limits aren't honored comes because of those imaginary limits. Not because of those people that don't honor those limits, because those people may not even know that you have those imaginary limits. It comes down to that such people just don't want to let go. So because they don't want to let go, they can't move further. So they are stuck. So they are in conflict. So what do? They project, often unconsciously, sometimes do it on purpose, but they project their pain and their negative energy, their waste energy they project it onto someone else through an accusation. And for this accusation, they will seek validation from others, or they will look for some excuse to validate their accusation. And when they find others that agree with them, that accusation becomes a spell. And that's how hate groups are formed. And the spell is enforced collectively by them keep meditating their waste upon you. And that's witchcraft. Most witchcraft is done collectively. Seldom will you have a single woman or a single man practicing witchcraft. That hardly exists. Okay? But that's what trolls, shills, hate groups are. Shills are those that will pretend to be on your side just so they can have an access to leave their waste behind. Because here's the thing. If they could just eliminate you or eliminate what they perceive as hindrance, they would be just walking around, jumping around, and you wouldn't notice anything of them. But here's the thing. They're the ones that are stuck. So they're the ones that have to face that restriction and that tension every day. And here's the thing. Once they have chosen to blame someone or a group for what they're feeling, now they have to keep validating that. So because the moment they have to admit that they are wrong, everything collapses. And because they have murmured against their targets with so many people, they will have to face the reactions of all those people also. So when a shill or troll or a hate group notices that they can't bring you down, they will pretend to join you just so they can have access to harm you. Why? Because that waste energy that they want to dump on you, it keeps returning back to them, and it keeps escalating, and it's completely destroying them. So when they notice that they're finished, they will take vengeance by bringing others down with them. So if you are on social media or you're just using the internet, you have your own business, you have your own online shop, don't be surprised if you get shills, trolls, or even hate groups targeting you. Listen to what I'm saying here. Often, those internet accounts that are haunting you, because it's people that are hunting you through the internet that are using accounts. Often they use fake accounts. For example, you can have someone on YouTube or someone in your guest book of your website. They leave a comment behind that's nasty, but with a name that doesn't exist, or with a name that just doesn't make sense. Most of the time, such people are past acquaintances that you don't speak to anymore. Often those are people around you that have a bad view of you, that they don't want to let go of. And because you are now performing well, you're doing well, you're moving forward, they're now faced with their own, with their own conflict. And they don't want to be faced with their own conflict. So that's why now behind the scenes, they're trying to inflict their pain and their tension upon you. Because they know that if they would come openly and do it, they would be in trouble. So they do it behind the scenes. Often such people are married, they have a job, so they need to stay out of trouble. But here's the thing what you need to understand. The moment you keep on advancing, and those shills, trolls, and hate groups realize that they can't win, that all the effort they made was for nothing, they'll lose it. They'll turn homicidal. And I mean this. I'm not exaggerating, neither am I kidding here. They will become homicidal. They will lose it. And if you are not around to murder, they will attack someone else. Now, in many cases, it doesn't end up in literal homicide, but it does end up in people getting stabbed, people getting hurt, people being stalked for years, false charges. Look, if you have trolls and shills and hate groups coming against you, that means that you're doing something right. They would not spend all that effort trying to hinder someone that's wrong. Because if you are wrong, time will prove you're wrong. But the moment you have an impact that's right, expect trolls, shills, and hate groups to come after you. I'm keeping it real here. Most of the trolls I've encountered were from people I used to know in the past. People I used to have contact with, or people that, let's say I went to school somewhere, or I went to a snack bar often. Acquaintances, people that knew I existed. Such people have been most of my trolls. Yes, there are unknown people who are just hanging around the internet and seeking whom they can attack. You have those random trolls, but most trolls I got were people from the past that wanted to act out their dissatisfaction. And you know what? When those people realize that it can't work, and when they become homicidal and they have no access to you, they'll begin to avoid you, they'll disappear. Some of those people, when I walk through town, because I go from town to town, I travel a lot, when I'm in town, they often see me and they run away. Or they hide their face. Why? Because when their waste energy escalated and I wasn't around, well, it went wrong with them. I don't know exactly what happened over there. But they know very well that I'm shielded and protected. Here's the thing. I don't hate those trolls, those shills, and I don't hate those hate groups. I'm not going to fight evil with evil. But that does not mean that I'm going to allow them to have access to me, because if I do that, they will use it to dump their waste and to finish their homicidal urges. Look, I know there are a lot of churches talking about love, the spirit of love. Yes, we should walk in love. Walking in love also implies walking in wisdom and walking in understanding. Some people are just dangerous. And I'm not talking about the guy in the street with tattoos and on a motorcycle. I'm not talking about those stereotypes. Some people are just dangerous. And often you can't notice at their looks that they are dangerous. That's why always operate in prayer. Put on the full armor of God. Because you never know who are secret trolls behind the scenes. That's why keep operating in the spirit. Because when you keep operating in the spirit, when you keep on growing, you keep on advancing, they'll expose themselves. Either they'll disappear and you never hear of them again, or when you encounter them, they are very quickly to leave your presence. It's then that you know that they have been trolling you, they have been shills, and they have formed a cult around you. Because it also happens that, because listen, whenever they have a group of people coming together just to hate you, that's a cult. Even if they don't have a rite of initiation, even if they don't have symbols, even if they don't have even a name, whenever you have a group of people frequently coming together just to hate on someone, that is a cult. And when you are operating in the will of God for your life, there will be cults formed against you. Some of them will remain small, like 10, 20 people. Others may grow to 50, maybe 100, or sometimes even 1,000 people. Depends upon the impact that you have. Just expect trolls, shills, and hate groups to arrive. Because listen to what I'm saying. I'm talking to those that are born again and operating in agreement with Christ. If you are in agreement with Christ, then trolls, shills, and hate groups will rise up. Because that's what happens. When you operate in the Spirit, you operate on the frequency of righteousness. Those that hold on to unrighteousness and don't want to let go, they have no choice but to act out. They have no choice but to lose it eventually. If you claim to be in agreement with Christ, yet you are completely relieved from every negative attention, then you're deceived somewhere. Somewhere you are deceived. So don't look at people who are completely relieved as an example. Look, of course you should be wise. Of course you should walk in love. Of course you should be responsible in your attitude towards others. But hold on a minute, understand this. When someone is intoxicated with waste energy, they are intoxicated with waste energy. When someone is possessed, they are possessed. It doesn't matter what your attitude is, they are possessed. They carry that waste, they carry that conflict with them. So don't think that you are responsible for them holding on to that conflict. You're not. Look, I don't care how good you behave or how lovely and kind you are. Someone that's possessed is possessed. Someone that is intoxicated with waste energies, they are intoxicated. Someone that is dangerous. And that has nothing to do with you. And especially if you're doing what's right and if you're operating the will of God, you will be targeted. But here's the thing. You have victory. So you should meditate and focus on the victory, not on the issues that arrive, because the issues are temporarily. And if you are in Christ and you're in agreement with Christ, you have victory. That does not mean that things will be easy. There will be days that you will be on a severe attack. There will be days that you won't feel right. I mean, bad stuff will happen. But hold on, it all will work out for your good. And I'm going to close with this. Don't idolize, nor put on a pedestal people that are completely relieved. People that are liked by everyone, people that are promoted by everyone. Don't do that. Because such people, something's very wrong. And you don't know what's wrong. I'm not going to guess what's wrong because I don't know your circumstances. Just realize, if the paranormal entities, that means if the enemy that Satan and his demons, if they are not attacking you, that means because they are walking with you. And when they're walking with you, you're not going to notice they're walking with you. Others may notice it, and even if they don't notice notice this, those spirits will never, and I'm saying they will never give you anything for free. When they walk with you, they will give advantages unto you. They will work things out for you without you being aware of it. So you may think that the enemy and his demons are generous. But why are they generous? In order to kill, steal, and destroy. So don't idolize nor put on a pedestal people that have a strifeless, controversy-free existence. Because if Christ didn't have such a life when he walked the earth and he was the righteous one, so how can you, who has been made righteous by the blood of the Lamb, have such an existence in this world? That being said, be at peace, continue in the word.